Very warm welcome, my dear brothers and sisters. It looks like it's just going to be an intimate one. So would you like to just gather closer? So maybe we just make it more like a like a sharing. Okay, if you like, just kind of gather around. Okay, we're just going to start off with a video that we made around the middle of this year.
You're not on the microphone video.
To celebrate our the start of the Catholic Architectural Guild. We founded a guild about the beginning of this year, and this was our first project from the Missions Trust. There are three other trusts, like Formation, something to do with the church in Singapore. And I think for this Missions Trust, we want to look at what are the needs in Singapore and also around us. So for our first year, we thought that we would just gather people and start talking and to see what are the needs. So to see first, and once that gets going, then maybe next year we will start to make small mission trips. And I think when COVID reopens, hopefully we'll be ready. So I'm just going to screen the video, enjoy it, take the time to relax and let the words sink into your heart. to kick off our sharing for today would be, you know, we have to stand inside the bridge more, and they can be used.
Oh, I see. Okay. Am I allowed to remove the mask? No. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for coming down to listen to the sharing that we have. My name is Theodore. I'm an architect actually, and also a parishioner of St. Francis Xavier Church. But over the past 10 years, from 2009 and 2019, I've been helping out on this mission. The Divine Love Group, Cambodian Siem Reap Mission. Basically, it is a mission that was initiated by, for those who know, the Redemptorist priest, Father Peter Wee, and his lay missioner, Miss Betty Wee. So it's a kind of ground-up initiative that gathers people from many, many parishes. And I met Father Peter Wee because of the grand mission that he conducted in St. Stephen's Church. I was helping out in St. Stephen's Church at that time also as well. So it is under the auspices of the Jesuit community in Cambodia. And one of the main things that they want to do is to actually bring the message of Christmas to the Siem Reap rural communities. Also, humanitarian mission to give them support, food, and things like this. So in short, we feed, we entertain, we care, give fellowship, cheer, and goodwill. And at the same time, we also have been raising funds for their facility building and education building. Also sponsoring a few, what we call, children down there who have some potential. We sponsor them to go for education and things like that. And I think the big takeaway for us is that we get ourselves, we are being mission, by doing the mission, we get mission ourselves. The awareness of the living the social mission of the church, right? Because as you all know, faith without action is useless, right? You have to have faith and you got to have the action to show your faith as well. Next, please. Bing, bing. Next slide. Yeah, so primarily what it starts off by very heavy logistics. You know, we get funds, we get money, and we buy clothes, we buy Christmas gifts, and typically there's about 40 people involved in the mission every time we go. We've been doing this for the past 10 years, right up from 2019. And it's we also got to arrange the port-to-port container to get the customs clearance. And this is something also which is quite difficult because the parish priest from the other side actually has to go down to the port, you know, to try to get the officials to clear the thing without having any problems of bribes and things like that. Of course, we select our gifts very carefully because we have to be sensitive to the culture, right, of the children there who are actually primarily, as you know, Cambodia. Siem Reap is in Cambodia. They are primarily a Buddhist country. And then it involves packing, preparation, and then we do a bit of song and dance items as well. And again, by doing all this, we ourselves as a group, we build fellowship among the team. So not only just missioning, but we ourselves get mission. So up to today, the group is still very strong. We met together 10 years and we've been doing this. And it has really given us strong bonding among the group. Next slide, please. Yeah, so you can see here, sacks of rice, you know, it's a lot. And then it takes a lot to pack all those goodie baskets, right? I think inside we have noodles, we have sugar, we have oil, soy sauce, all the essentials. So really you need manpower to perform all this. So I can't move. Sorry. Yeah. So, of course, you have to work with the local parishioners down there. Down there, when you go down to the parish, they also have their local church workers there. You get to know them. And selecting, of course, we are very mindful about the budget because these are all funds which are raised through community effort. So very simple, cost-effective packaging will do. So under preparation and packing, what they love to eat there is these baguettes, you know, what we know as French loaf. And this is something which is, I think it was a heritage from the time when they were French colony. So they make very good breads there. So the bread that we bring or we buy from there also has to be of good quality because otherwise they won't eat. They got good taste of bread, right? So at the same time, we try to purchase as much things as possible from the country of Siem Reap, Cambodia itself, because they will help the economy, right? Then they love their local curry also. It's very thin, kind of almost like an asam, not so much a curry, but they love it anyway. right? So the challenge is how to keep this bread fresh, when you bring over a period of 1 week, right? So we have to find ways and means to try to keep this fresh. And so far, I think the weather in Siem Reap is not as moist, although it's hot, but it's not as humid. So the food can keep a bit longer down there as well. Okay. So typically, we visit every day about maybe 4 or 5 villages. Some of the villages are across the water. If those of you all have been to Siem Reap, there's this giant lake called Ton Lay Sap. And a lot of the villages are on this lake itself. And this lake actually, in the rainy season, it becomes a huge lake, Then in the dry season, it shrinks down. And then you have all the stilts. So therefore, of course, you can't drive over the lake. The only way out there is water, okay? So movement and logistics is very important. So you've got to arrange. And the transportation from one village to another is easily about 40 to 60 kilometers. So one day when we go out, we travel at least 100, and by the time we come back, it's another 200, almost 200 kilometers. Yeah, and it's been actually, we coordinate with the St. John's Cathedral in Siem Reap, which is incidentally under the auspices of the Jesuit community there. So, go back. Sorry. So the idea of Gotong Royong, you all know the meaning of Gotong Royong? It's cooperation, community, the kampong spirit is very much alive down there. And this happens with all the missioners as well. So it's physically very strenuous. It's tiring, especially for older folk like me. But when I went there, I wasn't that old. But as time gets along, you really got to carry and lug heavy things. But somehow we know that when we're doing it, we see the faces. People are very happy to receive us, of course, to receive the goods and the food. So it motivates us in that way, in a very simple but deep way. Next slide, Pei Mei, please. Yeah, so when we entertain, we rehearse a series of songs, right? Some community songs, some Christmas carols. So we have a small little choir going. I play the guitar a bit. So we lead the choir, then we sort of entertain the kids before we play games with them and have makan with them. And then at the same time, after that, they will also entertain us. The kids will put up a show. They put up a Christmas pageant in their own language, which, of course, we do not understand the language, but you can see by the graphics and the optics and all this, it's actually talking about the Christmas story, okay? Next. Yeah, so mealtime. You can see they are very, very grateful kids. They got nothing much, so it's very easy to get them to sit down in a row, and they're also eager to participate in the bread and curry. Right, we make sure the distribution is well done, and really that's one of the things. You think that the kids are very rowdy, but actually they're very disciplined. Just one snap of the order, they can get them all seated nicely in place, and they're very polite and grateful. They thank you for everything that you give. So it really gives you a good feeling, right, that you're being appreciated. It's always nice to be appreciated. Next slide, maybe. Yeah, so then we do fun and games. We demonstrate. This is me and my wife playing the balloon balancing game. And this is, they really love it. You can see the, children all over the world, they just love to have fun. And I think we did succeed in bringing the joy of Christmas and the community spirit there. And really everybody participates. They are so happy to have you to come down to animate the whole village, the children, the kids. And those fathers who are not working also, they're the older generation of their kampong people. They will come down and they will enjoy the games with us as well. Next. Yeah, so another shot, you can see the faces very genuinely happy. And these are some of our missioners, Susan, Alan. Right, we bring down the party hats. Right, and this happens at every day, like I said, 4 or 5 villages. So by the time we finish, we have touched about 8,000, 10,000 people with their families and all that. Okay, so we also teach them a bit of hygiene. As you know, down there, they're poor people, so they don't really get fresh water and things like that. So simple things like shampooing the hair and cleaning them and bathing. Some of the kids, they don't bathe for weeks, because they're out there in the kampong, So we wash their hair. Of course, we're very careful that the lice do not jump on us also. So we also got to wear that hat because they're really, some of them are quite lice infested, and it's okay, because that's part of their life they're living. So we try to inculcate a bit of sense of hygiene. We give them clean clothes. and important to be very respectful and not to look down at them or to be very condescending towards them. Right? So respect for their human dignity is also something very important, especially when we come from a more affluent country. The kids that go there, we always tell them that these are your brothers and sisters, so do not feel as though you are any better than them or what. You're there to help them. Okay, next. Yeah, so some of the, then after that, after the event is over, we do some cleaning up also. Then we give them our new Christmas presents, fit them out with new clothes. And this is my friend Joseph. Joseph is he's an SAF medic. So he saw this kid, they couldn't afford to buy shoes and she was having sores on her legs. So he improvised something for them. Then he brought some medicine and I think he sort of, the feet got better, I suppose. Yeah. And I think, it's a very touching story, this one. Yeah? Then there's Father Peter Wee. So we actually help them to cut their nails as well. So even the priest, when he goes down there, he also participates in this missioning. So the food and gifts distribution, not only just to the kids, but all the families. So imagine you come down to the kampong, all these will be registered. They will register with the parish priest, even though they are not Catholic, you don't have to be Catholic. So long as you're there, you want to register, a bit like St. Vincent de Paul does. And we're talking about, easily 200-300 families, a kampong, So imagine, so they line up and we distribute the gifts and they are very eager, again, very, very grateful. And doing this, remember that there will always be walk-ins. We calculated there's about 20% walk-ins. So you got to have the spare. It's very embarrassing if you don't have enough spare rations or gifts. And when they come, and then we make sure that they don't go empty-handed. Okay, next. Yeah, so now this is the prison. Okay, so the prisoners there, they are there, and it's a very well-run prison. I can say that the conditions in the prison are actually better in the kampong. Better than the kampong, except that the kampong they got the freedom, but here they don't have the freedom. So the prisoners also they're very grateful to receive us. We same thing. We entertain them with carols, and then I think some of the priests also they counsel them, and some of the goodie bags they give to the prisoners. So again, everything was generally the Khmer people are very gentle, despite their ravaged history of war, the Pol Pot days and all this, but they're very generous and they're very caring, at the same time very gentle as well. We also visited hospitals, and if you see that shack down there, that is a hospital kitchen, So they don't provide food at the hospital. Your family and your friends got to come. They provide a kitchen for you. You cook your own food, and you serve the hospital, those patients in the hospital, and they don't even have enough room, so they just sleep on the corridors and this. And some of them are even AIDS patients. So we went to visit them, bring them cheer, and again, their gentleness and their motivation is there, and really you take away. You think that you are missioning them, but at the same time, these kind of things, it has a strange way of reflecting back the mission to you, right? So it's a two-way street. So, and this is one of the highlights, of course. They have a very active Sisters of Charity mission there, the order that was started by St. Mother Teresa, right? So it's an excellently run orphanage, and we go there. Now we entertain the children, and this is where I think the women really love the children. The kids are so cute and all this. Then we also say Mass. After the event is over, Father Peter Wee says Mass for us, and then we recollect through the past days what happened. We have sharing of any incidences that touched us. We share with our fellow missioners and how we could improve the mission as well. Then at the corner, you see the lot of the families out there. The compound is very small, so they couldn't let them in. So after the games are over only, then they open the gate and all the families around the area will come in and we'll distribute the food to them. And this was in Ta Om. Ta Om was a bombed-out church during the conflict, the 40-year conflict. 40 years ago, the conflict, the whole church was bombed out. And so we are raising funds to actually restore the church. So you can see from that, next is being restored to a very simple kind of restoration. And then that picture down there shows the bullet marks of the war, before the part that's unplastered. Actually, those are bullet holes, of the conflict that happened. And then with the funds that we raised, we built a small school down there. Next slide. And then finally, before we left, I think this was a project that the Father Toitat, the Filipino priest down there, he told us that he's trying to build a small little chapel within one of the kampongs, So myself and an architect, I got together with some friends and we developed this design. Then the COVID hit, then the plans got shelved. So when things get better, we hope to start the process again. So again, a very simple church reflecting tropical architecture and using the kind of technology that's available for them, so that in building the church, the economy of that village also benefits. So this is an impression of what the church looks like. So if he gives me the green light, then we'll start raising funds to try to build this church there as well. Thanks. So at the end of the day, again, like I said, it's a two-way street. Not only you mission and you help the children, but within your group yourself, you build strong bonds. Until today, we're all still friends. There's an intense awareness of the social mission of the church, and this is where I think I encourage all of you all, if you all had the opportunity to participate in this, because I'm a firm believer that faith without action is nothing at all. The faith has to go along with your action. I think that's the last slide, right?
Thank you.
So this is the last slide. And I just finish off by saying this is a very impromptu slide. In the sense, we had a flat tire, outside this kampong. We didn't really reach our destination yet. So when we came out, then all the children came out and they saw us. And they even offered us food and drink, because we had to wait in the hot sun for about 2 hours for the next van to come to repair. And during that time, we had a very impromptu kind of celebration with them. With the little that they have, they are still so generous to share. They invite us into their house, show us their place and all that kind of thing. So it was really a meaningful 10 years that we spent doing this mission trip. And God has a strange way of bringing people together. So my friends, Belinda and Bing Bing, they are also fellow missioners, form another group. And then we're also fellow architects. And we came together as a Catholic Architects Guild, newly formed for about 2 years already. And then we share experiences, and then it led to this. So you really, the thing about that you are in the tapestry of God's story is very, very real. You can't see what's going on in the whole span of things. But if you just offer up your 2 loaves and 4 fish and have faith that He will lead you in the right direction, things will move. Thank you.
Hi, thanks so much for coming. So Theodore had just told you who I am, Belinda Huang, and my husband over there and partner. Yes, we work and live together. We started our own practice, and what we've always believed in is the possibility of bringing good design, good aesthetics, and there is really no need to have a division. It should be all inclusive. And that's what we thought and what we believed in. We are also the architects for the pinnacles at Duxton. And so we also believe that even for the HDB, there should be good design. So I'm going to share with you today a project that we did in Cambodia. And what happened was that in 2011, we were just thinking, where should we go as an office for a holiday? And I was just telling Ping Ping actually, and I said, if I'm working for my boss, I don't think I'm going to go on a holiday with them, right? So maybe have something more meaningful. And I was just sort of Googling, looking at volunteering holidays, and then suddenly Ping, a message comes into my phone that says, would you like to design a school in Cambodia? So it's a friend who works very closely with ACT. And I'm like, yeah, so yes. So that was our holiday. So we brought the whole office to Cambodia. And what we did on the last day of our trip was to ask the Salesian sisters whom we're working with, can we come play with your kids? And then, we were thinking, small group, let's go play, do a little workshop. She says, can you do 75? And we're like, okay, all right, let's do it, right? So we had a workshop with 75 children, all grade 6, elementary 6. Next, please. So it was actually pretty tough at first because it's language barriers. We started off the site before they were on the stage. We started off sharing a poem called The Giving Tree, and then one teacher was sort of translating to them as well. And then we split them up into groups, and it was kind of like charades, So it's a good thing they can draw, or we can draw, and they can draw too. So it was pretty fun. And then when it becomes really heartwarming when you see how these alliances start to grow, they start to trust each other. And there was just sort of wordless, but there's a connection. Next. So it was actually a design workshop. And what we got them to do is we brought these really cheap colored paper from Popular, those that we buy. To them, it's like paper gold, They never seen that kind of colored paper. Just simple things that make me realize that we have so much and they have so little. And what we did was just get them to start building. See the one on the bottom left is basically a picture of them building what they think is their ideal home. So you can see they're on stilts, they're standing up. And then in that group, we say, okay, you're kind of like a village. So we start to talk about connections and all. And you need to connect to each other. So within the group, there is also a connection. So that's how we did it. So but again, non-verbal. And they came out with these amazing stuff. See the happy faces. I think the happiest are my architects, those behind. And and basically, the next slide will show you the final outcome, where we got the many groups to come together. And you see that big tree, that's actually just crushed paper, recycled paper. And we say, so many villages coming together, and then they start to negotiate with each group. Okay, mine will have an airport. What will you have? I want to have a bridge. I don't know what all that is in language, but it came out like that. So it was actually quite important, and the biggest takeaway isn't the joy that we give the children. It's when one of my architects, after we got back, and she said, Belinda, thank you very much. And this is what she said, for giving me back the meaning of architecture. I say, wow, that is just enough, right? What we take back is amazing. I mean, how many of us in our humdrum world, fast-paced world, really lose sight of the meaning and purpose, or the deeper meaning? Of course, we have meaning and purpose, the deeper meaning and purpose of what we do. So I'm going to take you through the architectural process, so that you see the way we think, what we do. So next slide, please. So the sisters had actually a huge land, and they wanted to sort of plonk the project is a secondary school. So what they had there was, what did they have? Preschool and elementary, and of course the sisters' residence. It's a big plot of land, and they wanted to sort of dot everything about, and we relocated the location of it. That means the planning, when we say relocate. And we wanted to put them on another corner where they could have direct entry taken from the road. So this is our thought that we gave to the sisters. Let us build like semi-public and public spaces, meaning let's put the hall in such a way up front against the road so that the school can close off and be secure, while in the evenings you can imagine running public events, maybe talks, maybe leasing out the hall, maybe talks for parents, or whatever workshops they want to create. So we reproposed the location. And next slide. So upon entry through the pedestrian portico, you are greeted with this large covered plaza fronting the hall. So this plaza is like a grand lobby to the school complex, high volume, and also doubles up as their VIP pre-function area for their special guests and drop-off. Next. So the Entrance Portugal, the one in white, is actually the one that you'll walk through from the from the road. So the idea of having a lower single-story volume is to sort of come in and then be greeted. So it's we hope it's a calming gesture from a really noisy road, and then come through and come into this big voluminous space, which is that lobby that I spoke about. And this double height facade of the hall, which you see is all very colorful and cheery. That's something that the sisters wanted. And then you can see inside the hall is a large volume. And you may notice that the materials that we use aren't any different from any other building. So what we deeply believe in is that if you just put on your creative design hat, you'll be able to still, with the same materials, the same processes, come up with, I hope, something nice for everybody to use. Next slide, please. So the project is really about layering. So we wanted to optimize the effects of color, light, shadows, and textures, and throughout the day, you'll be able to experience it differently. Next, please. So the school is actually assessed from this same covered plaza. You see that little bit of opening past that, this opening day, like the photograph, there's like all these flowers, past that stand. That's actually the entrance to the school. You can see, zoom in on the top right. And it is also separated by a courtyard. And at the entrance, you're greeted by the statue of the Madonna and Child. So this is the statue that welcomes you into the school proper. Next. Now, while the school is a double volume structure, while the hall is a double volume structure, the school has 3 stories that you can't really perceive from the road. So to maintain good natural ventilation, the building is provided with many types of screens. For example, you see the cables in the top right of this photo are for creepers that will create a greener facade. Next slide. So to maintain cost effectiveness, we also have a creative use of, do you see those holes on the top, right? Those are actually PVC pipes, so that we sort of glue and cast in at a tilt so that the rain doesn't come in. So it kind of looks a little bit fancy, but they're really just PVC pipes. And all these screens that you see that looks like patterns, they're just basic metal angles, those L angles that you see in construction sites. So that's all that we really use. And through that, we create all the different kind of porosity, flow of air, and lighting effects on the facade. Next. So walking through that multicolored gates into the school, you will be then encountering a much calmer environment where we use warm gray and white tones, which is just provided by painting on the wall and just basic floor tiles. It's just a matter of putting patterns on it and how you design it. So all these are recognizable materials. So we just wanted something that is simple, but textures are still coming from the different concrete panels on the floor, from the gravel of the courtyard, and plus the lighting through. Next. So the school is actually designed around 2 courtyards. And we wanted to bring in as much landscape as possible, forming a garden oasis for the students. So at ground level, the spaces under the link bridges become terraces with an outdoor field that were used as dining or collaborative learning spaces. Next. And here we also have cables for creepers on the upper levels. so for the green to grow, and so that we can encourage a lush green interior facade, which you can enjoy from within the courtyard on the upper floors as well. And it also creates a green screen that enhances that layering effect that I was telling you about, bring the light in, and it creates that bit of natural screening. Next. So the bridges on the upper level are also designed to be wider than normal rather than just for walking and connection, so that it becomes a collaborative learning space as well. And these spaces are defined by different finishes, different floor finishes. And we actually see them like outdoor classrooms. So it's like when you bring the classrooms out and other students are walking past, the interaction becomes, you'll see more of that kind of interactions. Next. So these photos were from my friend going to X every year. So you basically see the green growing. So through the years, it's really truly become really quite lush and organic and very natural. Actually, the different types of planting, what we did was normally as architects, we can design to the very last thing, right to the very last plant. But here we gave the sisters free rein, so that they feel that they have some sort of ownership. So the planting and the choice of trees and everything is pretty much left to them. And when we're there, when they need any guidance. So next. So this is just on the upper floor. The classrooms, the corridors are calmer, the same kind of tiles, but you see a lot of light coming through the corridors. Next. And the classrooms are basic, but one of the key things that you may not really see us doing is about how we organize all the MAE and the electricals and what have you. So we're very happy to see very clean ceilings without any ceiling panels up there. So it's just simple acts of spending an extra time to coordinate how pipes run and how wires run. It makes a difference to giving a space, a clean, calm environment. Next. So there was this story that the sisters told us, and it really moved the both of us. So what happened was there was this young lady that didn't appear in school for a while. And they went to the parents' house, and they were told, look, she doesn't want to come anymore because she's not interested in school anymore. And the sister says, that's not true. We know her, and she loves school. So they doggedly went back to the parents' house, and they eventually found out that she was sold to the flesh trade. And what sister did was to buy her back, I think it was like 50 US, I'm like thinking 50 US dollars, brought her back to the school. She stayed on. I think one of them became an architect as well. So we're not sure. I wouldn't want to say it's because of us, but definitely the environment might have helped her. She did? She was in our workshop in 2011. So I'm just really, really moved how important this project is. Next slide, my last slide. So in Cambodia, most girls will go straight, so after grade 6, if they cannot find a school in a secondary school, they don't have a placement, they're straight into the factories or sadly into the flesh trade. So this school, as the secondary school for the Salesian sisters, is really pivotal for giving them a better chance a better future. And so Pei-Ming and I really, really thank God to have that opportunity to be a part of it. Thank you.